Good morning, everyone. Today on Perspectives, if you're a sports enthusiast, whether it be as an active participant or as a spectator, this program is packed with information for you. In fact, the Mobile Sports Authority was created to bring in millions of dollars in the local economy by attracting the most popular sports in the world to the port city. The sports tourism industry is reported to bring in some $182 billion worldwide, and it continues to grow. The Mobile Sports Authority's mission is to channel some of those dollars to the Gulf Coast. This fiscal year, Sports Authority officials have been involved in a record 40 sporting events in Mobile County. The economic impact, some $22 million. Now, here are just a few of the events the MSA is involved in. Both the Fifth Quarter Classic and the Gulf Coast Challenge continue to bring college football fans to Ladd-Peebles Stadium. Officials say that 36,000 fans visited Mobile for those 4 games. Economic impact, $20 million. The 2019 Babe Ruth World Series brought in 9 national teams and a youth team from China. MSA says that it generated $2.1 million and 1,200 visitors in 6 days. And of course, it's just not the team sports. Endurance challenges like the Spartan race have brought weekend athletes to Mobile County. This national obstacle course race has taken place in Mobile County now for 3 years. 4,000 to 5,000 competitors take part. Economic impact, $6.7 million with more than 11,000 visitors. Fox 10 sports reporter Bree McNaught visited the obstacle course as it was being set up. Here's her report on the event from March of this year.
The Spartan race is everything from running and climbing to even spear throwing and, of course, mud.
This is getting close to the final part of the race. So you're climbing over these hills, you dunk under the wall, not over the wall. So you go under the wall, and then from here you go straight up to here.
It's definitely not your average race.
There's a lot that goes into planning before we even get here and decide what obstacles are going to come. And then every race is different. So a super, which is a longer distance that's happening on Saturday, is about 8.2 miles. We have different obstacles and we do the sprint. So the sprint has a little bit more easier obstacles for the beginner, and that race is happening on Sunday. So there's a lot that goes into it. Every race course is different. I mean, we come out and we take a look at a big open field and we design a course out of it. So how cool is that?
And it's back in Mobile after a short break.
So how excited are you to have the Spartan race back here in SARALAND?
Bree, we're real excited. They were here a few years ago in 15 and 16, and we kept talking to them and wanting them to come back. And we've got a 2-day event this year for the super on Saturday and the sprint on Sunday. And we're just very excited to have them back, hopefully have a record number of competitors this year.
It's a challenge, but it's also a break from the ordinary.
Just when you get on site here, you just immediately feel this great sense of community, and the people are here, they're happy, everybody's having fun. It's a place where you can get out of the hustle and bustle of, just every day, and you're just surrounded by nice people who just want to come and have fun, and it's just an amazing feeling.
For Fox 10 Sports, I'm Bree McNaught.
As you heard there, Bree McNaught reporting on that. Now, here this morning is Danny CORTE, Executive Director of the Mobile Sports Authority. Danny will update us on Mobile Sports Authority activities, as well as share with us why they are focusing on attracting youth sporting events to Mobile. Now, you'll also hear from 3 of our civic and community leaders this morning as well, who are involved in attracting the sports tourism industry to the Gulf Coast. Now, as we go to break this morning, Mobile City Councilman John Williams shares his thoughts about the Mobile Sports Authority. Perspectives continues in just a moment.
The Sports Authority has matured over the years, and with the leadership of Danny CORTE and an unbelievable board, we are bringing classic sporting events here, some that have never been to Mobile, and I think the best is yet to come. First of all, Mobile is a sports town. It's about quality of life, and it's about economic development. No better way to excite Mobilians than to bring a great sporting event, and then the city benefit from it.
And welcome back. Our guest this morning, Danny CORTE, Executive Director of the Mobile Sports Authority. And thanks for joining us this morning, Danny. Good to see you.
Good morning, Eric.
All right.
Good to see you.
Great to have you here. And John Williams, one of your board members of the authority, and giving that sort of a shout out to what it's about and the difference that it makes in quality of life here, one of the issues. But first, tell people what exactly is the Mobile Sports Authority. You're celebrating 10 years of existence right now.
That's right, Eric. The Sports Authority basically is the sports tourism arm for the city and county of Mobile. As a little history, the Mobile Area Sports Commission, our predecessor organization, was formed in 1998, was in existence till about 2005, and then economic situation got a little worse, so that went away. In 2009, the Mobile Sports Authority was formed under the Mobile County Commission with assistance from the city of Mobile. So we're really the sports tourism organization for both the city and the county, and what we do, we go out, we match our facilities with what sport we could host here, and of course that brings the positive economic impact and community impact for our area.
One of your board members said, make sure that I understood that we're not promoting events, but you're going out and partnering with organizations who are bringing events. How do you find these different groups?
That's a good question, and the simple answer is any way we can. Now, we go to several conferences every year, and we meet with rights holders, event owners, that would be possibly interested in bringing their event to Mobile. What we have to do is, obviously we're on a limited budget just like we all are. We have to make sure the monies provided by both the Mobile County Commission and the City of Mobile go to investing in the right events that would bring that good return to us. And so we go to conferences. A lot of times some of our best events are ones that somebody locally calls us up and says, listen, have you ever thought about hosting this regional Babe Ruth baseball tournament or gymnastics meet? And a lot of times, so we partner with local, some of our local citizens, our local groups, to bring those events in. So there's not really one, I guess, one formula for it. Right. It's really a very subjective way that we go out and we just try to show those event owners what Mobile has to offer, or we work with local organizers to bring those events in. And
in the beginning of the program, we shared about some of the events that are under the Sports Authority, that it varies when you're talking about participatory sports like the Spartan race, but then at the same time, you're talking about the big football games that happen at LAD other than the ones that we see on a regular basis, with these classic events. That's right.
Our largest annual event now is the Gulf Coast Challenge. We just completed our second year, between a $4 to $7 million economic impact, because again, football games attract a lot of people.
Right.
And obviously the matchup is very important, and we're working with the Gulf Coast Challenge group. We have from really the last 3 or 4 years. We had the Fifth Quarter Classic with a different promoter before, and then we sort of graduated to, again, this local group that we're trying to build this event up and become like the Gulf Coast Classic was in its heyday. The Gulf Coast Classic was here for 35 years, with Alabama State being the host team. So we're kind of taking a little different tact where it may not be the same teams every year, to try to kind of I guess to mix that up a little bit, because obviously different fan groups may not want to go to Mobile every year, but if you mix up the teams, you're going to have new people coming in, and that's what you want to show off your city and county.
And you've got a good alumni base here of many of the different HBCU schools that you've been featuring over the years.
You have to have the local support, because they're the ones that get fired up and say, come to Mobile, and you know, for instance, Alabama A&M, they're based out of Huntsville. A lot of their alumni are in northern Alabama, but the local group goes and engages with them and gets them fired up to come down here. We have events that start on Wednesday and go all the way through Saturday night of the game. So that's our largest annual event. The Spartan race you mentioned is something that doesn't come every year. Those are the kind of things we have to go out and bid on and try to bring. And again, we're always looking for those kind of unique events that fit here.
And you talk about a lot of fans coming with that. And one of the things we talked about before we started the program was the aspect of doing events that attract more than just the participant, but the family members, which expands your success.
That's a good point. What we found is you mentioned the spectator sport of the Gulf Coast Challenge. What we have found in these sports events is people want to do, not watch. So the participatory sports have become very important. But you know, going back to the Spartan race, if somebody wants to run a Spartan race, let's say it's the mother. Well, the husband's coming, the kids are coming, they are all coming to support, because something like a Spartan race is a big deal. Or if it's a baseball tournament, a youth baseball tournament, mom, dad, brother, sister, sometimes grandparents come.
That's right.
The youth-oriented events are really the sort of the golden goose of the sports event industry.
And we're going to talk more about that when we come back after the break, because that one hits close to home for both of us in our time. Now, as we go to break this morning, former Mobile City Councilman Reggie Copeland, considered by many one of Mobile's major supporters of sports in the port city, reflects on how a sport can grow and attract thousands to events. Perspectives will be right back.
I remember when they started soccer. Two of my boys played on one of the first teams in Mobile, and all of a sudden it just kept growing and growing. Look at it today. When you have soccer tournaments now, it's huge. Danny has put on in the summer a basketball club basketball thing down at the convention center. Has done a good job with that, and it puts a lot of people in downtown Mobile. And that's what we're looking for, is to bring them in, spend 2 or 3 days here in tournaments and what have you.
We want people to come here and spend money and stay and enjoy themselves, like the pole vault event. The pole vault event, they stay downtown all day long and spend money. And that's what we want. One year it was like $22 million that we brought in. And it varies. It'll be 18 million, it'll be 25 million, but that's a lot of money for people to come in. And they got a formula that they can tell. It's just like you go into to a game at Ladd. You can look around and you go, oh, there's about 20,000 people here, or there's about 18. And you know, the Gulf Coast Classic year before last brought in 20,000 people. I mean, we know it's not going to be that big every year, but that's a pretty good venue right there, and that's a pretty good draw.
And welcome back to Perspectives. Our guest this morning, Danny CORTE, Executive Director of the Mobile Sports Authority. And we just heard from Jack TILLMAN, who's also one of your board members and former Mobile County Sheriff, professional boxer, as well as a recent appointee to the Alabama State Athletic Commission. And I'm sure that's a plus when you've got somebody who's got some other contacts around the region and the state to be a source of saying, hey, Danny, what about these guys?
Yeah, you're right. And Eric, really, I have to say something. We have a 10-member board, a very engaged board of trustees. Harry Satterwhite, local attorney, is our chairman. Saul John Williams is our vice chairman, and Nick Patel is our secretary treasurer. Jack is one of the 10, and always very enthusiastic with what we do. And sure, the folks we have on our board kind of know what sports is all about and what it means to bring these events in. And so I'm really happy and lucky to have such a very supportive board of trustees.
Now, before we went to break, we were getting into talking about the youth events that attract not just the participant but the expanded family. And something that I did for years, that travel ball for my son. And like you were saying, even the grandparents and uncles and aunts will come in, and that goes to the bottom line for you in your area.
Sure it does. And most of your economic impact is really going to be from those fans, friends, family that come in with the youth. I consider the youth market anywhere from 4 years old to 18 years old, and as I mentioned before the break, it's really the golden goose of what we do. If you could give me a youth gymnastics meet, a youth volleyball tournament, just to mention a few, anything, or youth baseball tournament once or twice a month, I mean, we'd be set. And
you've had those this year?
We have. And as mentioned, we've been lucky. Our fiscal year runs October 1. We just finished our fiscal 19, 40 events with about a $22 million economic impact to the area, as mentioned, and I believe 23 of those 40 were youth-oriented.
And how did you capture those this year? What did you have to do to get those? You're talking about new ones that you brought in.
It goes to what we talked about earlier. Some of those I found at conferences that we attended. Some of them were local citizens that approached me that I've created relationships over the years. And really, in some ways, it's a sales job. In some ways, it's a marketing job. But anyway, it's all about relationships. And I've been doing it long enough to create some good relationships that you kind of know who to go to, who not to go to, right. Which is just as important, because sometimes you have to say no to an events that don't fit. But mainly we go and just create those partnerships that we have to have for an event to be successful.
And how important are the venues?
The venues are in our industry. I think the term is facilities first.
Okay.
Now, you see a lot of these smaller towns that are putting up facilities, but maybe they don't have the infrastructure. The one thing we have in Mobile County is we have over 7,200 hotel rooms. We have plenty of restaurants. We have attractions. We're right at the intersection of I-10, I-65, so we're an easy drive-in market.
And diversity in your pricing with hotel rooms.
That's right, anywhere from $69 to $269. So we have a lot of that public infrastructure already in place. Where we've been lacking a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, is some of our facilities. Of course, the Mobile County Soccer Complex will be our newest facility coming online in the spring. We're really looking forward to that.
Spring of 2020?
Spring of 2020, where obviously we're going to be able to attract some of those soccer tournaments that we hadn't been able to in the past.
I like that location too, right at the intersection.
Sure, and again, it's right on I-65, I-10, and right near hotels, right near restaurants, right near the McGowan Center and Hank Aaron Stadium. So I always look at us as sort of a sleeping giant in the sports event industry, and as we invest in these facilities, we're going to get more and more of these events coming in here, and maybe taken away from some of our competition. That's how it is.
That's right. And of course, we'll talk about that a little bit more as far as facilities and how Hank Aaron Stadium may play into the mix of some of your venues as well. Perspectives, we'll be right back. And as we go to break, Councilman John Williams, again a board member, shares how Mobile does have a way of attracting events and the participants.
I'm not sure what really it is. Sometimes you try to put your hands on it, and if we could just bottle it up, everybody would buy it. But the fact is that we have a great history of sports with professional players, especially in baseball, and you go out on a Friday night and every stadium's full. We love sports in Mobile, and people will go out. You just got to give them something to look at. The possibilities are unlimited, but we're going to find maybe that it is triathlons and volleyball and things that you wouldn't simply wake up and say, that's sports in Mobile. Volleyball is incredible when we talk about travel and economic impact. Folks come in for them. We set up 10, 15 courts in one place, and it is a full day of activity.
Once again, Councilman John Williams, also a Mobile Sports Authority board member, talking there. Welcome back to Perspectives. Danny CORTE, Executive Director of the Mobile Sports Authority, joining us this morning, and we're talking about the possibilities and the future. Where are you looking as you're taking a look at your opportunities, your venues, new things about to come on?
Well, a lot of the conversation right now with the Bay Bears leaving is Hank Aaron Stadium. The Hank has 2 more years to run on the lease with the Bay Bears ownership, so hopefully, I don't know if it's been approved yet, but we're going to work with a new group there, Mobile Sports and Entertainment Group, to hopefully help bring in some baseball tournaments. And when I say baseball tournaments, anywhere from 14-year-olds and up, because of the way the fence and the bases are set up. So, but it could be more than just baseball. Now, as far as we're concerned, it's about a competition. So if it's some kind of competition, whether we can use the outfield for a soccer tournament, an extra field, or a lacrosse tournament. All that is in play right now. I mean, the slate is clean now because you don't have to worry about the schedule of a minor league team. So
good facilities.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Babe Ruth, we had the Babe Ruth World Series in here this past year at the University of Mobile. They did a great job up there. Maybe we look at something with a Babe Ruth tournament with the Hank. I mean, I believe you could look around and I would think kids, especially 13, 14-year-olds, would love to play in a minor league stadium as nice as that one is.
Also, you mentioned volleyball. We saw some there. The convention center being a place, the volleyball and your gymnastics too, right?
Well, that's one of the things when I got back in 2011, we have to look around at what the facilities you have. And the convention center, they have a 100,000 square foot exhibit hall. So I thought, we thought maybe we need to turn that into a sports venue. So over the years, we've hosted the Gulf Regional Volleyball Championships there, which has been a tremendous success. 120, 130 teams come in on a weekend, usually in April. We've had gymnastics meets. We've had state and regional gymnastics meets. Goes back to that youth-oriented where a 6-year-old girl may come in and all the families coming with them. So we've had several there. We've also recently, as I think Reggie mentioned in his comments, the Ballin' on the Bay basketball tournament that we started several years ago. We put down 10 basketball courts with goals and clocks and everything, and we've hosted that every year in the springtime, and that's a 70, 80, 90 team tournament that you wouldn't think about the convention center as a basketball facility, but that's what we've done, and we've been fortunate that it's been successful, and hopefully those events will continue to grow.
So a fan watching today, how do they find out what you're having and when it is and where it's being held in the different venues? Well,
the best place, our MobileSportsAuthority.com website usually has all our events listed. We also have the Mobile Sports Authority Facebook with social media, and of course everybody uses digital media to market, and so do we. Jill Beard is our marketing director. She does a great job in keeping all that updated, and of course they can always call us at the office at 725-1794 if they have a particular question. But we're real fortunate to have the support we've had from city, county, the Board of Trustees, local citizens, and we're real excited for the future, especially as some of these new facilities come online.
When you look at the end of the year, what's happening with the Sports Authority events? We have a lot of things happen this time of the year, or things slow down? Well,
actually, October was kind of slow. We of course had the Try the Gulf Triathlon unfortunately canceled last week because of the storm, but November
rescheduled.
I believe it's canceled. I have not gotten anything that is rescheduled because of how that calendar works. In November we have the Alabama High School Athletic Association South Regional Cheer Competition coming in a few weeks. We have the Gears and Beers Cycling Classic coming up. We have the Gulf Coast Clash Wrestling Tournament coming up that we started wrestling down at the Civic Center a few years ago. Trying to think what else.
But a full plate.
But we have a full plate. That's
a lot of things for fans to be able to see, as well as bring their families to, because we always want to introduce our kids to things and give them a chance to see. You might be able to do that, you know?
That's a good point. We had the boxing trials, U.S. Olympic boxing trials here in 2011, and from that I've read stories where some of the kids and youth that went down to see that have since gotten into boxing. So that's the kind of thing that we like to
Dan and CORTE, we thank you for being a part and joining us today, and of course sharing all the great information. Wish you a lot of continued success. And of course, Danny mentioned where you can find them on the web. And we thank you for joining us here on Perspectives, of course. We'll see you next time here. And in the meantime, I'm Eric Reynolds. You have a great week.
How's that?
Awesome.
Is that
great.
Okay?